Hey folks, this is Vent with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly review Valheim. This is a game that you can find on Steam's Early Access program for about 20 bucks. That means everything that you're about to see here, including this review, is subject to change. So what is Valheim? Well, it is a pretty darn difficult survival game, and it supports up to 10 players. You can play it solo. It is possible. I've played on my own for several hours, no problem. Just be warned that this game will murder you if you let it. So, like other survival games, typically, you'll be able to procedurally generate your world with a particular seed, so if you so choose to. So, for example, you could go on the internet and search, what is the best Valheim seed? Okay, and you find it, you go ahead and type it in, and there you go, you load it up. Or you can just take a random one if you want to. Another cool thing is, like in Ark, you can sort of have your character that you create jump between different worlds, and you get to keep everything that you're holding. So in theory, you could grind out this resource on this server, this world over here, and then jump over to this world and, take those resources and craft something, or find another resource, whatever. So there's that. Now, I say that this game is difficult for a number of reasons, but primarily it's well, first of all, the learning curve is a bit high, and the enemies are particularly strong, especially even when you're first starting out. It's more of a, what you don't know will kill you kind of thing. For example, let's say that you're cutting down a tree. Oh, it fell on you, you're dead. I have a feeling that most people in this game are going to die because a tree fell on them. My first death was not a tree, but, some other monster had killed me instead. So there are a number of ways to die in this game. Stamina is very hard to get. It's just one of those things where it saps quickly from you, and it takes a while to charge back up. So you really have to think. This is not one of those hack and slash action RPGs where, oh, there's an enemy, click, 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 click. No, you kind of have to, learn to block just at the right moment to parry that pushes them back and makes them vulnerable, and then you do a couple of swings. But again, if you run out of stamina and you go toe-to-toe with a troll, you're gonna die unless you're well geared to block their attacks. So what can you do in this game? Well, there is base building. The base building aspect, again, takes some getting used to. You'll have to unlock tools. For example, there's this hoe tool that will allow you to flatten the land. You'll have to use rocks in order to raise it, or again, you can use your hoe to flatten the land around you. You'll eventually unlock a pickaxe to mine things. You'll get a crappy axe in the beginning to cut down trees, but then as you progress through the game, you'll find better metal, like there's copper, and then there's iron, and it'll progress from there. Your workstations will also level up. So for example, you'll have a basic workbench, and then when you build the prerequisite buildings for them, like a chopping block, for example, you have to put that next to your workbench. And when you do, your workbench raises to level 2. And by increasing the level to your workbench, you'll have access to upgrading things more. You can actually upgrade items in this game too. So the crappy axe that you get, or the crappy rags that you're wearing, you can upgrade them with materials, so as long as you've got the appropriately upgraded workbench level. So there's that. You'll be unlocking forges and smelters. So there's ore in this game, and you'll be smelting them. You'll need a kiln so that you can put wood into it, and then out comes coal, and then you put the coal into the smelter along with the ore, and out comes your bars of ingots. So if you've played a game like Ark Survival Evolved, then you'll be very familiar with this. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but I will tell you that there is a fast travel system eventually. You'll unlock things called these gateways, and they are, think of them as stargates from, if you've ever seen the TV show Stargate or the movie Stargate, or the movies Stargate. then it's sort of like a point A to point B kind of thing where, you step through one portal and you end up at the other portal. It's very simple. You simply name the portals the same thing and they will automatically connect with each other. I have a central hub right now of 4 portals. So I have one that goes to my brother's house and one that goes to Bessa's house, who is one of my Patreon supporters. And then I have my girlfriend, Ida Lee, who she has her own area. We each have our own houses. Then we've got this central communal area that we go to sort of upgrade together. Even though we've got our own workbenches in our own house and we've got these beehives for honey and other things, we have this central area too that we put everything into. But long story short, you can build gateways in this game eventually. You're going to be doing a lot of running around. My biggest complaint with this game is that you cannot, for whatever reason, transfer particular items between portals, specifically ores and bars of metal, like a copper ore or iron or whatever. So, like, for whatever reason, you can transport logs in your inventory through portals. You can, all these different things. You've got all these different materials, hide. You've got trophies. Trophies are turned in typically to summon bosses, but you can also use, say, deer heads to create this crazy sledgehammer that has a crazy AoE effect. But for whatever reason, you can't transport items like ore through portals, and this forces you to build boats and possibly like go the long way around. You can build carts in this game that you can drag. Ore is so heavy in this game, trying to run back and forth between deposits is a pain. Carts are okay, but like they hit a rock and they fly into the atmosphere and break. It's just the physics for the carts right now are just it reminds me of like a Benny Hill cutscene. Anyway, so yeah, carts there's no good way right now to really transport goods. Boats, that's where we're leaning right now in our particular playthrough. Tin, for example, is found along the coast in the Black Forest, which is one of the zones in this game. So, my thought was, let's build a boat, let's stay along the shore, and we'll mine the tin, bring it to the boat, put it in the storage in the boat, and then we'll bring it back home, and we'll build our communal place near water so that we don't have to truck the ore too far inland. You know what I mean? So we're still working out the logistics that way, but it still bothers me that you can transport almost every other thing in this game, weapons, which are made of the same ore that you're crafting. Like, I have got a copper sword. I can bring that through a portal, but I can't bring copper ore through a portal. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay? So that's one complaint that I have with this game, is just you can't transport goods, certain goods, through portals. Like, that's just, it's mind-boggling. I know I'm harping on that a lot, but as it stands, that's my biggest problem with the game. There is raids in this game. I just want to warn you of that. The more you progress, the worse they get. If you happen to linger too long in one location, typically the game will throw enemies at you for a short period of time, and then you'll have to defend that area for a while. There are bosses in this game, and the progression is this. You have to go out and kill particular animals to get trophies, or creatures to get trophies. And then you use those trophies at the boss stone. There's stones. There's like a boss area. You go there, you find them. There's little runes, tablets on the map that you read, and then they point the location of the next boss to you. You go there, you put the trophies there, and you summon the boss and you fight it. From my understanding, the boss does scale based on the number of players, but don't quote me on it. And I don't want to spoil what kind of bosses they are, or what materials you'll need, or what trophies you'll need. But like, this game is not perfect by any means. Like, it's also missing a lot of the customization that Ark has. Ark Survival Evolved, for example, whenever you set up a game for the first time, it has a slider for almost everything in game, and people can even create dedicated servers that can do even more. This game, unfortunately, doesn't have any of that. It's just the one difficulty. It's the one standard thing. Like, you can't adjust how quickly your stamina runs out, or how quickly you need food, or how quickly your food bar goes down. Speaking of food, food in this game is handled a little differently. It's not just eat, 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 eat to keep a food bar up. There are three different food slots that you have. And if you eat three different foods and they're active in your food bar, your maximum health will increase. So the game encourages you to eat different foods rather than just find one food and munch on that repeatedly. Like in Ark Survival Evolved, you could eat a bunch of berries. Just grab a bunch of berries, munch, 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 and that's it. You could consist off of berries for the rest of your stay in Ark, and it doesn't matter, okay? Not the most efficient way, but you can do it. In this game, if you had a diet of just raspberries, which is the first berry you'll find, I mean, there's no GI tract issues in this game. In real life, that would just be disastrous. But you can't do that in this game because your maximum health will typically be 35 or 40 or something like that. Whereas if you decide to get meat and cook it, and eat berries, and eat this other type of meat that you can get from something called necks, which look like lizards. If you just happen to, get all three different foods and eat them all at once, your maximum health might be 80 as opposed to 30 or 40. And that's important because, like I said, the enemies in this game are incredibly difficult if you don't know how they act. If you don't have the gear, and you don't know how an enemy behaves, they will wreck you. The swamp, for example, that's where we're at right now. We just gathered a bunch of ore, iron ore from the swamp area. We found this dungeon that we went into, and it was full of cool things. We had oozes that we were fighting, and leeches that will poison you. Very poisonous area, the swamp. And it's tough. These draggers... Archers can one-shot you, like they're really overpowered right now. Even with really good gear, they can one-shot you if you're not careful. Enemies will come in different qualities. No stars, 1 star, 2 star, based on how good they are. They drop better mats if you kill them, but they're also tougher. I know I'm kind of rambling, but that's because this game has a lot... There's a lot here, okay? Is it as good as other games like Ark and 7 Days to Die? Is this game, I'm not saying that this game is bad, okay? I'm simply saying that the whole fact that you can't transfer ore through portals, and some other, like, minor things right now bother me. Like, just, again, lack of customization options like in Ark. That bothers me. The graphics aren't very intensive either. Ark has a lot of gorgeous environments. Whereas this game, I feel like I'm playing a crappier version of like World of Warcraft, maybe like RuneScape. You know what I mean? So it has its positives and negatives. I mean, it really does. But like, I'm not saying don't buy this. I'm saying that when you go into this, you need to know that it lacks certain features like the customization that Ark has. And that the learning curve is high. However, if you're just looking for a game that is somewhat hardcore to go into and have fun with a bunch of friends, this is a pretty decent game to do that. I really hope, though, that they really allow ore to be shipped. I know I'm harping on that a lot, but that's probably, again... That's my biggest complaint with the game, is that particular mechanic. It really needs to be fixed. Other than that, and aside from other minor balance things, like, this game is actually quite fun. Sometimes boats, like, I had a boat sitting at a dock, it just kind of disappeared. There's no way to, like, anchor them, so sometimes they'll just drift away. I left my boat somewhere, and then I came back, and it was just gone. And I'm like, well, there's 10 bronze I don't have access to anymore. And, so I gotta rebuild my ship and, whatever. So, again, the game is not perfect. It's early access, I did mention that. So, if you don't mind a high learning curve, if you don't mind high difficulty, And if you don't mind a game that isn't completely polished yet and still needs to be worked out in certain areas, then I would say give this a go. It's not bad for what it is. I still enjoy games like Ark and 7 Days to Die more so than this, just because they offer a bit more. But I'm hoping that when this game becomes fully fleshed out, it will be able to compete with those other games that I just mentioned. So yeah, I do recommend it, but again, I think that again you really need to know those things going into it before you pull the trigger on it. But you do you. I have 35 hours in it. I am not typically someone that plays hardcore survival games that are ruthless. I'm typically not that kind of person. But my brother did buy the game for me, and we're all enjoying the experience. And I'm not just saying that because he bought the game for me. I'm saying it because it's allowed me to spend some quality time with him when I typically don't get the chance to do that. So like I'm enjoying the experience, the communal experience that goes along with this. But again, I do think the game needs to be ironed out in certain areas, and through early access, hopefully the developers manage to do that. If you guys haven't already, subscribed to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.